Evening, everyone. Welcome to the centre. Just a reminder to turn the phones off, please. And Jen Talopo will be with us in a minute or so. Thank you. Thanks.
Good evening. Welcome. So, in previous weeks, we've been talking about the problems of self-cherishing. You know, thinking that we're the center of the universe and only our wishes are important. And then we talked about initially beginning to think that other people are as important as we are. Because essentially we all have the same wish. We all have the same basic wish. We all want to be happy. We all want to be free from problems and suffering. And in that respect, we're no different. You know, you and I are no different from these things. We all have the same basic wish. And then tonight we want to talk about what's called exchanging self with others, which means not just thinking of others as equally important, but coming to think of others as even more important. So we exchange concern for ourselves with concern for others. And we come to think of ourselves as just a means by which we can create happiness and freedom for other people. And that way we'll find the real meaning of what it means to be human. We find the real meaning of our human life. Because animals are unable to, although they have compassion, and every living being has the seed of wisdom and compassion, but animals are unable to understand how to foster that seed, how to bring that seed of compassion and wisdom to fruition. But human beings have this special quality that we're able to understand, and we're able to have all the attributes that are necessary to be able to practice and follow Buddha's teachings. So that's what we're about, you know. This tradition is a Mahayana tradition, and the essence of Mahayana, as opposed to other traditions, the essence of Mahayana is that those who commit themselves to the Mahayana teachings, their main aim is to attain enlightenment for the benefit of others, to do whatever it takes to become the best we can be, to ripen those seeds of wisdom and compassion that are in everyone's heart. And so our whole mind becomes filled with compassion for others. And when that happens, naturally wisdom begins to ripen as well. And then we begin to realize that in order to be able to fulfill our wish to help every other living being, we ourselves need to become the best we can be. We ourselves need to become this extraordinary enlightened being, just like the original Buddha 2,500 years ago. But the thing is, since the time of Buddha, when he gave teachings on how to attain enlightenment, countless people have followed these teachings and instructions and become enlightened themselves. You know, my teacher, Geshe Kelsang, if you had been able to meet with him, you would quickly realize that this is a very special person. If you understand how he lived his life, everything he did was for the benefit of other people. He didn't keep anything for himself. You know, he received lots of money, you know, brand new Mercedes car. He just gave them all away so other people could benefit. And he could use the money to build centers like this, to pay for centers like this throughout the world. So throughout the world there's some between 1,200 and 1,400 centers like this throughout the world. And also now there's 6 great temples of world peace. The first one is in Manjushri, which is in the Lake District, near a town called Ulverston. So I recommend you all go there. Our General Spiritual Director, Khenla Dekyung, Khenla Kelsang Dekyung, is giving a weekend of teachings on the end of this month, the beginning of next month. Starts the 29th of November and ends on the 1st of December. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so she'll give a special empowerment of the Buddha of Compassion, Avalokiteshvara, on Saturday. And she'll give teachings on Sunday. So I would encourage you all just to go there for the weekend. And if you try to figure out what you want to do for Christmas, you can go to Manjushri, because there's a Christmas course on, and I'm teaching it. So, yeah. So, as I said, tonight we're going to talk about exchanging our concern for ourselves with concern for others. Okay, so we begin with liberating prayer, and you'll find it on a red card close to you.
Blessed One, Shakyamuni Buddha, precious treasury of compassion, bestower of supreme inner peace, you who love all beings without exception, are the source of happiness and goodness, and you guide us to the liberating path. Your body is a wish-fulfilling jewel. Your speech is supreme purifying nectar, and your mind is refuge for all living beings. With folded hands I turn to you, supreme unchanging friend. I request from the depths of my heart, please give me the light of your wisdom to dispel the darkness of my mind, and to heal my mental continuum. Please nourish me with your goodness, that I in turn may nourish all beings with an unceasing banquet of delight. Through your compassionate intention, your blessings and virtuous deeds, and my strong wish to rely upon you, may all suffering quickly cease, and all happiness and joy be fulfilled, and may holy Dharma flourish forevermore.
And so we can meditate. We'll do a fairly brief breathing meditation. So in meditation, it's good to have a good posture, which means having a straight back. If you're sitting in a chair, try to have your feet flat on the ground. If you can place the back of your right hand in the palm of your left like this, raise the thumbs so the tips of your thumbs touch gently together like this, and then relax your hands into your lap. And then you can gently close your eyes, close your mouth. You can begin by checking your body is comfortable and relaxed. You just scan down your body looking for any tension or discomfort. And if you find any, just think about that area. And just think, relax. As if you're giving each part of your body permission to relax. And then bring your mind just to think about the rhythm of your breathing. Imagine you're seeing your breath as you breathe in and breathe out. And then after a few breaths, try to find a feeling at the tip of your nose. It may feel cool as you breathe in and warmer as you breathe out. And you may notice this feeling at the tip of your nose. Cool as you breathe in, warm as you breathe out. So when you've found that feeling, just allow your whole mind to relax into that feeling, as if your whole attention is placed on the feeling itself, as if your mind becomes the feeling and the feeling becomes your mind. So the only thing that appears to you is that feeling, cool as you breathe in, warm as you breathe out. Keep your whole attention on that feeling. So what's happening is you're allowing your mind to become still. Your mind is not being distracted away from that feeling. And when you allow your mind to become still like this, then a deep feeling of peace and happiness and contentment will naturally arise. In the Meditation Handbook, Venerable Geshe-la writes, when the mind becomes free of the turbulence of distracting thoughts, then a deep feeling of happiness and contentment will naturally arise. So turn your mind now to any feelings of peace and happiness and contentment that you have. Just examine this feeling of peace and contentment. It's almost like thinking, I don't need anything else. My mind is at peace. As long as my mind is at peace, I don't need anything else. And so I'm content. So remember this feeling, because you can bring it back again any time. So now you can begin to relax your concentration, and then when you're ready, you can arise from meditation. So we need to begin to understand that all of our problems and suffering comes from two aspects of our mind, that we're barely aware of them. The first one is called self-grasping ignorance, that we grasp at whatever we see or hear or smell or taste or touch. We grasp at whatever we experience as truly existing in the way in which we're experiencing it. So it seems to be existing out there. So the things that we experience, the things we see, etc., they're out there, and then somehow it seems like our mind connects with them. They're out there, everything is out there, and then our mind is here, and somehow there's a connection between the two. This is how we normally experience our world. What we don't think, and which is our big mistake, is that the things that we see are simply parts of our mind. We experience things with our mind, not with any other part of our body. We experience things with our mind. And so everything that we're experiencing at any moment must be inside our mind. Would you agree? It's a completely revolutionary way of thinking. Because normally we think my mind is here and everything else is out there. But that's not possible, because we only experience things with our mind. And you can think about it in this way. If you think about yourself, you have an image of yourself. But that is unique to you. When other people are thinking about you, they don't have the same image as you have of yourself. You think you're a wonderful, extraordinary, brilliant, beautiful person. Other people think, oh, what a rubbish. Always to be avoided. And so how could that be? If you exist in exactly the way you think about yourself, then everyone should have the same view of you as you have of yourself. But you know that's not true. You know, it doesn't work like that. The same way you go to a meal in a restaurant and with your friend, and you both have exactly the same meal. It's brought by the same waiter. You're sitting in the same table, in the same, what appears as the same room. But one of you really likes the meal, and the other one thinks it's terrible. So this shows you that things that exist, the meal that exists, is dependent upon whoever's experiencing it, dependent upon the mind that's experiencing it. So we come to understand that it's our mind that's creating everything for us. In the same way, other people's minds are creating everything for them. So if we understand this, we understand that we perceive we divide up our world into things and people that are attractive, things and people that are unattractive, and then a whole load of people in the middle and things in the middle that are neither attractive nor unattractive. Yeah, so these are only three possibilities: attractive, neither attractive nor unattractive, and unattractive. So what do we do with the attractive things that we find attractive, They're attractive to us because they give us nice feelings, and feeling is part of our mind. So what do we do when we see things that give us nice feelings? I don't know what I know what I do, but I don't know what you do. You can get hold of them and keep them close, because we don't want these feelings, these nice feelings, to change. And so we want to grab hold of the things that are producing the nice feelings and make sure they don't go away. And then those other things that are unattractive because they give us unpleasant feelings, we want them to go away. And we help them to go away. So we push them away. And then the whole list of people in the middle who are neither attractive, we're not interested, we don't care. They can hang around, they can go away, it doesn't matter, because they don't really affect us. Now, in dependence upon that, we're developing delusions, things that are called delusions, and states of mind that are delusions, like uncontrolled desire for the things and people that we find attractive, and anger and aversion to the things and people that we find unattractive, and ignorance about all the people in the middle, and all the objects in the middle. All because of this mind that's thinking the way things exist is exactly how I perceive them, and they're out there. We're never thinking, and this is a big mistake that we're always making all the time. We're not thinking that things are involved in our mind, are essentially part of our mind, and therefore the way they exist is dependent upon our mind. Yeah. So as long as we're dividing up the world into attractive, unattractive, and neither attractive, we're always developing desires, attachment, or uncontrolled desire, and anger, and ignorance. These three things, these three qualities of mind, states of mind, they're delusions. And from these delusions, all other kinds of delusions will arise. Things like pride, things like jealousy, and so on. And whenever we have these delusions in our mind, their only function is to cause us problems and suffering. You ever been angry? Yeah. How did your anger work for you? Did it make you happy? No. Anger never makes anybody happy. Anger is the most destructive force in the world. Anger functions only to cause suffering. The same with desires, attachment. Have you ever had strong, uncontrolled desire? That your mind just takes you towards some attractive thing or person? You can't wait to get hold of them. You know? What happened? What is your mind like then? Is it happy? Joyful? I would say it's painful. whenever we have uncontrolled desire in our mind, it's painful. It's a cause of suffering. So we come to realize, as long as we're making this mistake of self-grasping, it's called self-grasping ignorance. It's an ignorance which is the opposite of wisdom. Then we're always creating the cause of suffering. And then from that self-grasping mind comes self-cherishing. As long as we have self-grasping, we have self-cherishing. Thinking, what I want is the most important. So it's most important that I get hold of these attractive objects and attractive people. And it's most important that I get rid of the unattractive people. Yeah. Do you ever operate like this? Is this a description of the way you have operated in the past? Yes? No? Yeah. And all the time, we're just creating hurt and harm for other people. And what do we do for all the people that we want to get rid of? We get angry with them. We ignore their wishes. We speak badly about them. We're quite happy to engage in hurtful actions towards them in order to encourage them to go away. And then for the objects of our desire, we often exaggerate our own good qualities in order to appear more attractive. We sometimes we cheat and lie in order to get what we want. And all the time we're creating negative karma. So what we need to be able to do is to completely turn this around. First, we need to begin to reduce our self-cherishing, and in the process we'll be reducing our self-grasping. As we're reducing our self-cherishing, it's giving us an opportunity to cherish others more. And so this is where all our happiness and all our freedom will come from. The great 8th century scholar Shantideva, and I've said this many times, that all the happiness in the world comes from a mind that wishes others to be happy. All the suffering in the world comes from a mind that just wishes ourselves to be happy. So wishing ourselves to be happy is self-cherishing. The word cherishing means we hold something dear. And when we hold ourselves dear and most important, then naturally we tend to engage in those kinds of uncontrolled desire and anger and ignorance. So as long as we have self-cherishing, we will have these delusions will be operating in our mind. But if we're able to turn it round, reduce our self-cherishing and come to cherish others more, until eventually we're completely free of self-cherishing. This cause of all our suffering, self-cherishing, if we become completely free of self-cherishing, then we're completely free of the causes of suffering and problems. And then we come to cherish others more. And we come to think of ourselves as like an instrument that functions, our instrument of who we think we are, functions to seek to bring happiness and freedom to other people. Wouldn't that be cool? You spend your whole existence, your whole life, looking for opportunities to bring happiness and freedom from problems for other people. And in the process, as Shantideva said, all the happiness in the world, which includes all your happiness comes from your mind that wishes others to be happy. It's that simple. It's that simple. But it's simple to understand, but it's much more difficult to put into practice. And the reason for that is that we're so practiced in cherishing ourselves, thinking I'm the most important person here. So the issue then becomes, how do we turn this around? How do we turn it around? Well, first we have to think about all the disadvantages of continuing just to be self-cherishing all the time. If we just continue, we'll continue to experience problems and suffering, and we'll fail to find the happiness that we're looking for. You come here because you're looking for happiness, not you don't want to experience more problems and suffering. But we're all looking for more happiness and peace. And this will come as we come to cherish others more. So where do we start? Whoever appears in front of your nose. Yeah? Because whoever is appearing in front of your nose you've created the karma for these people to appear. Everything that appears in our world, all of our experiences, and like people appearing in front of you, is an experience that you yourself have created by your own past actions. When we've engaged in negative actions in the past, hurtful actions towards others out of this mind of self-cherishing, we've created negative karma. And so we planted the seed to experience more problems and suffering. But also we've engaged in beneficial actions that bring happiness to other people at the same time. I mean, it hasn't been all bad. This life itself is not all bad. And occasionally we engage in actions that help other people. And so we know from our understanding of karma that good actions bring good results of happiness and good conditions, and bad actions bring suffering. And these bad actions arising from self-cherishing. So it's like self-cherishing itself is creating a downward spiral for us. We continue to engage in negative actions, we continue to experience suffering. But if we manage to turn this around, because we understand the problems involved in self-cherishing, if we manage to turn it around, reduce our self-cherishing and come to cherish others more, then we begin to create the cause of more happiness and peace. And eventually, because we experience the good results from cherishing others more, we just naturally want to do more and more. We found a solution to our problem of finding happiness. And because we want more happiness, we want to cherish others more. And so the natural result, the natural endpoint of that is that we stop cherishing ourselves completely. We stop all self-cherishing. So we're stopping the causes of all our suffering, and instead we're creating the causes of all our happiness because we cherish others. So how do we accomplish that? What are the reasons that we can do to accomplish this? Well, normally we're thinking, here I am, this is myself, and everything that is not self must be other. So we're creating a kind of artificial distinction between what we regard as self and what we regard as other. There is a nice analogy that will help us with this idea, that this false distinction is actually real. So let's say we were on a mountain, on top of a mountain, and the mountain is, we're looking at another mountain that is in the west. We're on the east mountain, and we're looking at another mountain that is in the west. So we're thinking, when we're on the east mountain, we're on this mountain, this mountain, this. And the mountain in the west is the other mountain. So you're making a distinction between this and the other. So what happens if we walk down the side of the east mountain, across the valley, and up the west mountain, and we turn around and look back at the east mountain? So what are we thinking about being on the west mountain? Is that not this mountain? And the east mountain has now become the other mountain. So this and that, or this and other, is only relative to where we're standing. And this applies both to self and other. When we're thinking self, we're thinking this entity, this person, and when we're thinking other, it's that person. But what would happen if we put ourselves in the other person's shoes and began to look at the world from that person's point of view? Then we would be able to think that that person, we're now experiencing the world as that person was experiencing it, and now that's ourself. The other person has become ourself. And then we're looking back at our previous self, and now our previous self has become the other. So if we understand this, we come to realize this concept of self and other is just relative from what standpoint we're thinking. You know, if we're just facing someone else, they're thinking self and we're other. From our point of view, we're self and they're other. But if we switch it around and just put ourselves in other person's shoes and look out on the world as if we were them, and you know, if you really place your focus on someone else, you begin to see their problems. You listen to their speech, and you listen to the way they move. If you place your concentration on them, you can begin to see the issues and problems that they have. Just the way someone walks, the way someone holds themselves, the way someone communicates with other people. You begin to understand the difficulties that they have and how the reasons they're not finding peace and happiness. And so when you can, because you are more able to place yourself in their shoes and imagine you're looking out at the world as if you were them, now you begin to cherish them as if they were yourself. You understand? This concept of self and other is only relative. It's not an absolute difference. Also, we have already changed our object of self-cherishing many, many times, and in reality continuously throughout our life. You know, when we were 10 years old, we were cherishing the person of a 10-year-old. We were cherishing a self of a 10-year-old. When we were 20, we cherished the self of a 20-year-old. Now we cherish the self of whatever year old. So we change the object because the person who is 10 is completely different from the person who's sitting here. and yet we continue just to cherish ourselves each and every day. And so we've changed the object of our cherishing countless times before. So we can easily think that we can change the object of our cherishing from self to other. So, there's a really interesting thought experiment that we can carry out. And it comes from the great 8th century scholar Shantideva. It's described in this text called Meaningful to Behold. So if you sit in meditation, I'll guide you through it. So imagine that we're dividing the world up into all living beings into 3 groups. And we imagine that we're this superior being that's trying to cherish all living beings without exception. We've already decided this is what I'm going to do with my life. And so we're striving to become a bodhisattva. But we divide all living beings up into 3 groups. The first group is people we think are inferior to us, for whatever reason. So we believe that this group contains a bunch of people who we regard as being inferior to us. And then the group in the middle is other people that we regard as equal. And then there's a third group is people we regard as superior. So these, when we are thinking in this way, it creates a problem for us in being able to cherish other people. Because when we're thinking about people who are inferior, it's not easy to cherish them. When we're thinking about people that are equal to us, we tend to be in competition with them. And then when we're thinking about people who are superior to us, then we kind of looking up towards other people. So what we do, we imagine that if we take the first group, we imagine that we're looking at them. And then we are this person who is committed to bringing peace and happiness to everyone. And so what we do is we walk down from our own position. We kind of leave ourselves behind and we go and join the group that we think is inferior to us. So we're kind of leaving ourselves behind and joining the group and then looking back at ourselves. If you can imagine that. So we're looking back at the image of who we are. This person who's seeking to bring benefit to all living beings. So when we're looking back, we can have a mind of jealousy. When we're in the group that was previously regarded as inferior, and we're looking back and thinking, oh, that person is so superior to us. And so we develop a mind of jealousy. But then we think, we have all these difficulties and problems, we have delusions, and we create suffering for ourselves. But that bodhisattva's job is to help us. If he was doing his or her job, he would be helping us to overcome our delusions. So what's so special about him? So when we begin to think in this way, we imagine ourselves, it questions why we should think as other people as inferior. And it overcomes this feeling that we're so special. And it encourages us to become even better, to be able to help even more people to free themselves from suffering. So we put more effort into actually cherishing others, because when we're looking back at ourselves and thinking of the jealousy that exists from people we regard as inferior towards us, we're thinking, well, that's not a good situation. We need to take away their jealousy. We need to help them to become free of their problems. And we need to put more energy into this. And then in the case of persons who are in the middle group, that we think are equal, but we're in competition with them. When we join that group and look back at ourselves, we think, oh, that person, that bodhisattva, he thinks that he's equal to us. But we will make sure that none of his good qualities are recognized by anybody else. And we'll point out all his bad qualities to other people. And we'll praise ourselves as much as we can, so we defeat him in every possible way. And so you begin to realize the suffering that is caused by this mind of competitiveness. And so we come to realize it's so much better to be cherishing others rather than being in competition with them. We should be promoting the welfare of others, promoting the good qualities of other people, and not running them down. And then the third group that we think are superior, when we join them and look back, we're thinking, oh, that lowly person, he thinks he's as good as we are. Well, that's so ridiculous. And we just take whatever he has and use it for our own benefit, and just leave him with enough so he can continue to benefit us. So you begin to realize the unpleasant mind of pride, deluded pride, thinking we're better than anybody else. So this meditation, this thought experiment, is enabling us to overcome very many difficult minds, particularly of jealousy, competitiveness, and deluded pride. So if we just take the first one and again repeat this experiment, just imagine you've committed yourself to bringing benefit to all living beings, and you walk down and join the group that you think are inferior to you, for whatever reason. Very often just a small reason. And then you turn round and look back at yourself. And you're thinking in the way that other members of this group are thinking about your other self. You're thinking he looks so superior, or she looks so superior. He spends most of his time with other elevated people. He doesn't care much about us. Yes, we have delusions, but these delusions are the cause of our difficulties and our suffering. So why isn't he or she helping us with our difficulties? So you just contemplate these thoughts in relation to your previous self. Why isn't this person helping me? Why do they prefer to spend their time with other elevated people? So really they're talking about us, ourselves. And they're pointing out a difficulty that we have from our side. Something that's stopping us from being able to cherish everyone without exception. So now you can begin to relax your concentration, and when you're ready you can arise from meditation. So I confess that meditation is not easy, but it's a way of revealing the obstructions that we have in our own mind that prevent us from being able to cherish other living beings. To think that their welfare is as important as mine, and in a sense even more important than mine. So maybe I should put more effort into helping other people. I was at a school in St. Michael's this morning, and we were speaking to primary 6, which would be about, I don't know, how old are they at primary 6? Do you know? 10 or 11, okay. And we were just talking about this, how happiness comes from wishing others to be happy. And so I said to him, well, imagine if there's one piece of chocolate cake left, and you had your friend, and it was just you. What would you do? Would you grab the chocolate cake for yourself, or would you give it to your friend? And they came up with a whole load of different answers. And one guy said, oh, we should split it in two. That's great. And then someone said, oh, I would give it to my friend. And I said, what would be the result of that? I said, well, my friend would be happy, A, because they have chocolate cake, and B, because they feel I care for them. And I'm happy because I care for them, because I've engaged in cherishing them, which is the source of my happiness. And then another one says, well, I could have a little bit of it and then give them the rest. And then another one said, well, what if they don't like chocolate cake? Or if you realize that chocolate cake wouldn't be good for them, you just keep it to yourself. Save them from suffering. It was hilarious. So, but you know, the chocolate cake is just like an example of all kinds of other things that we do in our everyday life. You know, can we think about how other people would like something? How we can help other people, the people who appear in front of our nose, people we live with, our children, our parents, siblings, and so on and so forth. We just start from where we are. But thinking, oh right, I'm going to cherish all living beings from now on. This is not realistic. This is just an intellectual thought. Because it doesn't mean anything. How can you cherish everyone in Australia in a practical way? It doesn't mean anything. Same with, you have to be able to cherish whoever's appearing to you. And in a sense, everyone is an opportunity. Doesn't matter what they look like. Everyone is an opportunity for you to improve your own mind of cherishing others, wishing others to be happy, wishing others to be free of suffering. So, and we mix with people all the time. We think about people all the time. So, go to it. Just go and do it. If you believe that there are benefits of accomplishing, and I think we all probably agree that if we help benefit other people, you know, Liverpool is full of people benefiting other people. It's one of the great things about Liverpool. People cherish each other. I was in the gym the other day, and I was putting weights on a barbell, and I was struggling a little bit, and someone came over to help me. Now, if that had happened in America, I would have thought they were trying to pinch the barbell and shove me out the way. But so I looked at him and said, "Oh, I'm just trying to help you." And it was so cool. And Liverpool is like that. It's amazing. So, thank you so much. On Saturday, we have a half-day course on concentration. This is the second part of a trilogy. The first part is moral discipline, second part is concentration, the third part is wisdom. And it's 3 Saturdays in a row. So this is the second Saturday. The following Saturday will be the third one on wisdom. So these 3 trainings, moral discipline, concentration, wisdom, is called the 3 higher trainings. They're higher because they're motivated by the wish to become free of suffering and to be able to help others to do the same. And so it's mind renunciation. So motivated by renunciation, and then we practice these 3 things: moral discipline, concentration, and then wisdom. Okay? So be there or be square. Thank you.
In the cafe there's coffee and biscuits and